Would you believe that there was a Star Wars story where Princess Leia turned evil, Yoda crashed the Death Star into Coruscant, and C-3PO took Han Solo hostage? Well, there is, and I'm going to be talking about that and more on today's Star Wars lore video. Hey guys, this is EckhartsLadder. Hello and welcome to another Star Wars lore video. A few days ago, I made a video on the story of Darth Vader's white suit from Star Wars Infinities, which is an alternate history version of Star Wars. That story came from an alternate version of Return of the Jedi. Today we are looking at the New Hope counterpart to that story. And actually in the story, most of A New Hope goes the exact same way as it did in the movie, with only one critical difference. We get to the battle of the Death Star and Luke successfully launches his proton torpedoes. However, one doesn't detonate and the Death Star is not destroyed. Luke's attack does enough to damage the station, but not enough to actually destroy it. They've knocked out a power grid, but the super laser is still functional. The Death Star fires on the planet of Yavin 4. However, because it's not fully functional, it doesn't actually destroy the planet, but it does do massive damage to the Rebel base. As the rebels on the surface try to evacuate, Luke and Han are also trying to get away from the planet, realizing that there's nothing else that they can do. Eventually, the two manage to escape from the pursuing TIE fighter squadrons and jump away. Meanwhile, the Rebel High Command has escaped from the planet in trusty GR-75 transports. However, those transports are almost immediately intercepted by the Empire, and Princess Leia is captured and taken to the Death Star. Han and Luke meet at the rendezvous point away from the Death Star, and at this point, Luke Skywalker is very emotional. Not only has he lost Obi-Wan, as he does in the film, and his aunt and uncle, but now he thinks that he's lost the entire Rebel Alliance. He also hasn't really been trained at this point, so his anger is getting the best of him, and he draws his lightsaber to strike at Han Solo, who doesn't want to continue the fight but wants to run away. But before he's able to attack him, the ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi appears. Obi-Wan tells Luke to go to Dagobah to be trained by Yoda, as he does in The Empire Strikes Back. Because Luke's X-Wing is broken, Han takes him to the planet. Elsewhere, on Coruscant, Vader has presented Leia to Palpatine. Palpatine, seeming to sense something within her, tells Darth Vader to train her. On one occasion, Darth Vader actually gives Leia Obi-Wan's lightsaber. She strikes at him in anger, but Darth Vader uses it to begin her transformation to the dark side. On Dagobah, Han and Luke meet Yoda. Funny enough, Han handles this situation completely better than Luke does in The Empire Strikes Back. He lands the Falcon without crashing into a swamp. He realizes who Yoda is immediately. He doesn't get angry or frustrated like Luke does. Eventually though, Han does have to leave, and Luke stays at the planet to start his Jedi training. He initially does, as he does in The Empire Strikes Back, fail his test in the cave. However, after striking down the dream image of Darth Vader, he sees, instead of his own face, the face of Princess Leia. The story then jumps ahead 5 years. Princess Leia is now an Imperial Senator for the planet of Coruscant and is also a trained Dark Force user. Han Solo sees this and is angered by this and goes to seek out Luke Skywalker, who is still on Dagobah. For these 5 years, Luke has been training basically non-stop with Yoda, and at this point, he's quite the Force wielder. He successfully passed the test of the dark side cave, and his last bit of training is accepting from Yoda that Darth Vader is his father and that Leia is his sister. Han arrives, and together Yoda, Luke, Chewie, and Han go to the planet of Coruscant, hoping to rescue Princess Leia from the Imperial Palace. On Coruscant, grand celebrations are underway, celebrating an unprecedented success of the Empire, which has been flourishing since the defeat of the Rebel Alliance. The Death Star, which has been recently renamed as the Justice Star, is parked in orbit along with what seems to be most of the Imperial fleet, including dozens of Super Star Destroyers. Our heroes land on the Death Star with Yoda disembarking, telling the nearby stormtroopers to take him to Tarkin and telling them to allow the Millennium Falcon to leave. They do so. As Yoda and R2-D2 get to work on the Death Star, Luke and Han attempt to assault the Imperial Palace from the ground. Han and Luke confront lightsaber-wielding Imperial guards, which they do manage to dispatch, although with some difficulty, but we do see Luke's improved and very powerful Force powers at work here. Tarkin, as I mentioned, is still alive, given that he survived the Death Star trap. He's also changed his position to Admiral, which, to be honest, does seem like a bit of a demotion. Nonetheless, he is confronted by Yoda, who uses a mind control technique, which he's obviously very adept at, to take control of Tarkin. Back on the planet's surface, Luke and Han run into C-3PO, who has been with Princess Leia this entire time. 3PO takes the two to a throne room, in which they encounter Palpatine, Vader, and Princess Leia. 3PO takes Han as a hostage, and yes, you heard this right, while Leia viciously attacks Luke with her lightsaber. Defending from the attacks but not attacking back, Luke reveals to Leia their family connection, a connection which stuns Darth Vader, but which doesn't surprise Palpatine. He had sensed something all along. On the Death Star, Yoda has forced Tarkin to take him and R2-D2 to the Death Star's control room. There, R2-D2 controls the station's super laser, using it to destroy the orbiting Imperial fleet. Back on Coruscant, Vader seems completely rattled by Luke's revelation, and although he doesn't turn on the Emperor, he seems unwilling to continue fighting and continue serving. This causes Luke and Leia to stop fighting and greatly angers Palpatine. As he often does, Palpatine descends down the stairs and starts electrocuting the two young Jedi. Darth Vader responds by grabbing Palpatine, not killing him, but giving the two enough time to escape. At that moment, Yoda appears on a holo projector, telling Palpatine that he's destroyed most of his fleet and that he'll be down to see him in a second. And by the way, he meant that very literally. As the heroes manage to escape Coruscant on the Millennium Falcon, the Death Star crashes into the planet, killing not only Vader, Palpatine, and many Imperials, but likely also trillions of people. With much of the Imperial fleet destroyed by the Death Star and the Imperial capital itself, along with much of its leadership also destroyed, the New Republic is eventually able to form, with Princess Leia elected as its Chancellor. R2-D2 is also revived, his memory bank was apparently uploaded into the Millennium Falcon, and he's given a new droid body. Unfortunately, Darth Vader does not survive this, as he does in the other Infinities story, but this is still a relatively happy ending, and the Force ghosts of Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Anakin still do appear to wish Luke good luck. Anyway guys, that's all for today. Let me know what you thought of this story, if you'd like to see the last of the Star Wars Infinities stories talked about on this channel, and really just if you like this video. Also, make sure to let me know if you have any suggestions for future videos, and hey, thank you so much for watching. As always, this has been EckhartsLadder. May the Force be with you.